Top 10 Rudest Countries. Italians. Italians actually have a reputation for being rude. I mean, they didn't invent the middle finger, the Greeks did, but the Italians, they sort of perfected it. In Milan, they actually have a statue of the middle finger pointing at the Italian Stock Exchange. The British. Now this is amazing because of all the people surveyed. The number one country of origin of people that said the British were the rudest were the British. The UK says British are the absolute rudest people in other countries. It's like these people know how they are and they just own it. 63% of the people surveyed had the United Kingdom in their top 3 for rudest locals. Americans. Yes, the United States is number 5. How could they be number 5? Shouldn't they be number 1? When coming to be a tourist, if you end up in the wrong place, like New Jersey, you will probably think differently of the Americans. But for the most part in most of the country, people are pretty decent in the tourist areas. Not just New Jersey, you might want to add Hawaii onto that. Hawaii's not too keen even about other Americans coming to that state. If you consider gun violence rude, then that is absolutely in America. Russians. Russia's another country that has rude people because it's their culture and the way they do things. It doesn't jive with a lot of, especially Western countries and their citizens. Russians are very to the point, and very blunt about everything. There's no light gray areas with them most of the time. And they don't sugarcoat much when they're talking to you. So a lot of people might think that's rude. Some say it was great, some people say they were kind of rude and mean to them. But, in the survey, 53% of the respondents had Russia as one of their top 3 countries with the rudest locals. The Greeks. Greece is one of the oldest countries still going. They offer tourists ancient ruins, great islands, amazing beaches, gyros, and a steady helping of "fu, go back where you came from." Around 30 million people visit Greece every single year. The government and shop owners love that. The locals aren't always on board with it. They have a reputation of being rude. Greece, they have a tendency to talk a lot with their arms and a little too close for American and let's say British standards. They get a little too close when they're talking. The Turkish. Turkey's got kind of a reputation for having rude residents. Like Greece, they have a lot of history going on here. Istanbul, which used to be Constantinople, played a big part in the Crusades. This is where a lot of the European crusaders passed through to go to the Middle East, and cause all kinds of problems. And Constantinople served as an imperial capital for almost 16 centuries. All the way back to the Romans, the Byzantines, the Ottomans, they all had this place as their capital. Turkey offers a lot more out of Istanbul. They've got a lot of history here, lot of great things to see. Turkey sees around 50 million visitors a year. Actually in 2019 for the pandemic, they hit 52 million. So they see a lot of people going through here and not everyone's on board with how cool they are there. 41% of the respondents had Turkey as one of their 3 countries with the rudest locals. The Spanish. They have never been anything but friendly and nice, but apparently if you're a tourist in their homeland, they're not too keen about it. If you go by the survey and the polls, the Spanish people aren't too keen on people coming to Spain. Spain sees about 70 million visitors a year, and 45% of the people surveyed had Spain as one of their 3 countries with the rudest locals. The Chinese. Whether this is correct or not, but according to one survey some Chinese people are pretty rude locals. And apparently if you go into the rural areas and they really like you, if you get in the cities and stuff, they're kind of rude and abrupt to foreigners. But the locals in the rural areas, they're almost happy to have you. 46% of the people surveyed had China as one of the 3 countries with the rudest locals. Germans. A lot of people's experience with Germans has never been good. They seem to be rude. It's like their thing. They always get that thing where they think they're better than everyone else. That's an opinion by a lot of people, not like a fact. There's no arrogance metric. Germany normal years sees about 40 million tourists, and 61% of the people surveyed had Germany, as one of their 3 countries, that they felt had the rudest locals. The French. The French have a legendary reputation for being rude. There have been jokes about how rude the French are since forever. There was a movie with Dudley Moore years ago where he played ad executive, who had like a breakdown, and started telling the truth, and he created an ad that everyone loved. It showed an Italian woman cooking some pasta and said, "Come to Italy, we're nice, we're not like the French." And it showed a guy with a beret flipping the camera off. Our opinion is just like the rest of the world's opinion on the French. They're pure rude.